Dunbeholden is losing that spark at home. Molynes had a dreadful time out west, and it was a crazy Clarendon derby in the jungle. But we start one place and one place only, and that's at the Jerusalem Mini Stadium, where all we saw was more boxing than football. This is Match Week 31 Review Show. Yes, welcome back to Jump Here Fan. We had 2 postponed games this midweek, so today's review show will be a little short. But we still got so much drama and action, especially in Jerusalem. Here's the starting 11 for Waterhouse. Former Phoenix Academy player Akeem Bernard, of course, starts in goal. Leonardo Gibson kept his spot, and so too Nicholas Hamilton after scoring against Tivoli last time out. As for their visitors, Vere Phoenix United, surprisingly, youngster Rikelme Edwards is in goal. Of course, there's no Tariq McGee, and Carlton Brown also returned to the middle of the park. No, once again, it was a very decent start to the game by Vere as they looked to squeeze Waterhouse into their own half. But it would be Waterhouse to pull off the first threatening shot in the game. But Vere was still sticking to their plan and just need a goal to go along with it. Who knew that they would get it straight from the training ground? Look at this imaginative set-piece plan right here that ended up with Denzel McKenzie firing home from inside the box to give them the 1-0 lead. I must give Vere's coaching staff credit for that one. And Vere weren't ready to sit and defend that slim lead either, as moments later with Kevin Atkinson they went hunting for more. Waterhouse, on the other hand, tried to up their tempo to get back into the game and was relying heavily on Andre Fletcher to work some magic. Kimani Campbell was trying to do some magic of his own with this shot from the short corner, but young Edwards did well to protect Vere's lead. Waterhouse would keep up the pressure, but there would be no change to the scoreline before the halftime break. Second half, and Vere started it just as how they started the first, even coming close with this header. But then they decided to be more reserved and allowed Waterhouse to have more of the ball, which was working to an extent, but then the game descended into chaos. Elvis Wilson wasn't too happy with Atkinson's approach and went after him. The two got into a shoving match and brought out the handbags, leaving the ref with no choice but to brandish 2 red cards. But the drama didn't stop there as another Waterhouse player continued to antagonize Atkinson and picked up a hand to the face for his troubles. Honestly, it was an ugly scene and not really a good advert for the league, but I won't pretend these kind of incidents don't happen elsewhere in the world. Thankfully, we eventually got back to football and Waterhouse made better use of their 10 players to produce a goal. It started with this nice pass down the left wing for Fletcher, who then put the ball on a dime for the late arriving Gibson to give the home team the equalizer. Gibson now has a goal and assist in his last 2 games, paying back his coach's fate to start him despite being out for a while. Of course, a draw doesn't help Waterhouse, who found themselves outside the top 6 at kickoff, so Marcel Gale made some attacking substitutions, including Bygrave and Dylan John, in hopes of finding a winner. But as soon as Dylan John stepped on the pitch, he was blindsided with a rugby tackle from Kyle Butler. The quote-unquote beef between John and the Butlers was a major talking point before the game started, but this was just downright cynical from Kyle Butler. Worst of all, it only achieved to fire up Dylan John and his teammates, as they were not eager to exact some immediate retribution. But maybe they were too fired up, especially Dylan John, who turned over the ball right here and allowed Vere to race away on the counter. Eventually it ended up with youngster Sean Creighton, who pulled the trigger but was denied by a brilliant save from Akeem Bernard to keep Waterhouse in the game. And it's a good thing he did, because moments later they got a free kick. Dylan John demanded to take it, but saw his efforts hit the wall, but luckily Andre Fletcher was also there and reacted quick enough to power his shot through the bodies and into the back of the net. It sent off wild celebration not only on the field but also in the stands. Vere tried with the little time they had remaining to find a second, but the ref felt the tensions were too high and called off the game a bit early, triggering another ugly scene between both benches. So it was a game that felt personal, but how was the game in terms of stats? Well, there wasn't much shooting out there despite all the fighting, with Waterhouse only making 7 total attempts while Vere making 6. 5 was on target for Waterhouse while only 3 was on target for Vere. We got 27 fouls in the game that somehow was enough to produce 3 yellow cards and 2 reds. And finally, both teams were even on possession. Yeah, where to start? There really wasn't much of football there to analyze, but I will say this was a massive result for Waterhouse and a clear sign that they will not be letting the top 6 slip away. I also have to give major props to Andre Fletcher, who displayed why he was captain by being the coolest head on the pitch. As for Vere, if I was a fan, I'd be furious. They were playing so well, but when your team is this young and fighting relegation, you need your senior players to be mature and guide them. Butler and Atkinson fail in this department, and if they get relegated, they will only have themselves to blame. Anyway, once again, it finishes Waterhouse 2, Vere Phoenix United 1. From there, we move on to the East St. Andrew, where hopefully there was a little more football being played as Harbour hosted Portmore United. In terms of the lineup for the home team, Colorado Murray returns, replacing Andre Fagan. We got a rare look on Dejan Green, and there was still no Talbot in the squad. As for Portmore United, Captain Single Knight returns, so too Tej Bryan, and Ronaldo Robertson starts against his old club. It was really a strong start from the Portmore team, with this shot kicking things off. In fact, they would go on to show that they were not trigger shy with numerous attempts, especially from long distances. It took almost 15 minutes before Harbour finally got a footing in the game and started to trouble Portmore's back line, but then on the 35th minute, they would be kicking themselves. A nice lob pass was played over the top down the right for Tyreek Zimides to give chase, who then made a first-time low cross into the box that was made a meal of by the Harbour defense, and Giant Bros was the happy man on spot to smash it home and give the visitors the lead, 1-0. The rest of the half would be all Harbour as they were desperate to get a goal back before the halftime break, but they failed to do so. They started the second half with the same burning desire, but shots like these were simply not good enough. But they would come even closer with this effort from Ron Brown, but the ball went just wide. That did not deter the home side though, as they kept coming and had 2 really good chances to be level. I mean, come on Timar, you got to score those. Perhaps sensing the danger, Coach Austin would throw on both Zane Pinnock and Orlando Russell to try and find another goal, and the latter almost did on this occasion, but saw it hit the bar. Seeing that, Harbour would up the ante and throw almost everyone forward, which means of course the counter was on for Portmore. And on this occasion, Molynes played Javier Brown down the left channel, who then cut it back for Molynes, but the number 8 flicked it on behind him for the onrushing Russell, who calmly tucked away. 2-0, and the former Harbour man came back to haunt them just in time. Harbour's confidence was shattered at this point, but they still had some fight in them to try and get a goal back. While Portmore took the air out of the game by slowing the play down and holding onto the ball well. In the end, 2 goals was more than enough, as Portmore will take all 3 points on this road trip. So a decent game, but how was the game in terms of stats? Well, Portmore held more of the ball with 52%, but both teams were close in total shots, with Harbour taking 14 and Portmore taking 13. Only 2 was on target for the Stars of the East, while 3 was on target for Portmore. The home side had 51 dangerous attacks, while the visitors had 50. 2 corners to Harbour and 7 corners to Portmore. Alright, starting with Harbour, with their away record not being the best, they were relying heavily on their home form. The month of March has not been kind, and they need to turn things around quickly to starve off relegation. As for Portmore, well, first positive is that they scored more than 1 goal, but still they have areas to work on, as they almost led Harbour back into the game. Regardless, it's been a decent match for them, as they almost certainly locked up a playoff spot for now. Anyway, once again, the final score is Harbour 0, Portmore 2. We leave St. Andrew and head to St. Catherine, where Dunbeholden was hosting high-flying Tivoli Gardens. Let's look at the starting 11 for the home team. Romain Hamilton replaces Jamil Vassell in goal, and veteran Damian Bings returned to the back line, replacing Devante Hodges. As for Tivoli Guns, they only made 1 change from the team that beat Waterhouse last week, In is Nathan Thomas and out is Kevin Garnett. No, literally from kickoff, we got this wonder strike from Roshane Oldfield. Well, we think it's a wonder strike, but nonetheless, it was an amazing start for the visitors. But credit to the home team after that, they dominated the ball and was eager to get something back. But they wasn't producing much shots at goal, but they would only need one to draw level. And it would come from an unlikely source when Damian Beans got in behind Tivoli's back line, kept his cool, and slotted his shot through the legs and into the back of the net. 1-1, and it came at the stroke of half time. But Tivoli would use the break to regain their senses and hit the ground running at the start of the second half. Anthony Nelson was played in right here and he smashed a shot past Hamilton for Tivoli to regain the lead. Nelson wasn't finished yet, as just a few moments later when Fuller came down the left before teeing up Nelson for an easy tap in. 3-1, and Dunbeholden had no idea what just had hit them. Coach Harold Thomas would then make 3 changes, including bringing on Tyrese Winter, and it seemed it was a masterstroke as Winter would go on to power this left-footed shot past Houghton and get Dunbeholden back into the game. But then Tivoli avoided panicking, kept possession well before unleashing Lennox Ruxell down the left, who aimed for the back post and succeeded for Tivoli's fourth. Dunbeholden would try one last hurrah in the final moments, but there would be no more goals in this one. So it was a good performance from Tivoli, but how was it reflected in terms of the stats? Dunbeholden actually had more of the ball, especially in the first half, to end with 57%. They would also be dead even on total shots, with Tivoli at 7 apiece. But Tivoli obviously were more clinical with 4 on target compared to Dunbeholden's 2. 3 yellow cards to the home team and 1 yellow card to the visitors. No red cards were in this match. I will start with Tivoli. Clearly confidence is high, perhaps the highest it has been all season, and it makes you wonder if both Anthony Nelson and Lennox Russell did not miss so much games due to injury, how far up the table they would have been. As for Dunbeholden, maybe teams are starting to figure out how to play them on this small pitch and no longer fear coming here. They better hope that's not the case, as their away form remains dismal. Anyway, once again it ends Dunbeholden 2, Tivoli Gardens 4. Now we head all the way out west for our next match as Montego Bay United was hosting Molynes United. In terms of the starting lineup, Aaron Inel was maybe punished for his blunders in the last game and was replaced by Burton. Shadil Thomas is of course out with a bad shoulder injury, and Daniel Reid also comes back into midfield. As for the visitors, both Rashawn Livingston and Peter McGregor got the nod in the starting 11. Dante Fitz and Devon Davis were out, but Nicashay Murray kept his spot in the team. No, Mobe wasted no time getting on the score sheet. A long pass was played into the box. Darren Denai came out of goal and took out everyone except the ball as it fell neatly for a waiting Jordan Fletcher to tap it home. 1-0 already by the 4th minute. Their dominance would continue as waves of attacks came at Molynes, but both Fletcher and Montego Bay would have to wait till the 24th minute for their second goal. Another ball played in behind. The Nine had no business being all the way out there, and Fletcher easily lobbed the ball into the empty net. 2-0, and it was richly deserved. Molynes would then have a good spell of retaliation after that, but failed to get one back before the halftime break. Second half, Mobe dominance returned, so it was no surprise that they would find their third goal in the 54th minute by, you guessed it, Jordan Fletcher to complete his hat-trick. Molynes were already dead and buried at this point, so it was no surprise that Mobe would score again, this time from Brian Brown Paneka. Then the captain would join in on the fun in the 84th minute, hammering home this rebound to complete the rout. 5-0, and this was a complete beatdown out west. So it appeared to be a one-sided game, but what does the stats say? No surprise, Mobe dominated possession with 62%, and of course dominated total shots with 19 compared to Molynes 6. 2 corners to the home team and 8 corners to the visitors. Alright, let's begin with Mobe. I will assume someone from the team watches these videos because only a couple games ago I stated that they needed to find more goals in the team, and they went ahead and scored 5 this time around, all while maintaining yet another clean sheet. As for Molynes, it is as if they were still on the bus. they didn't seem interested in coming to Mobe and fight, but they need to remember if they keep playing like this, they might find themselves in the dreaded relegation zone. But for now, it finishes Montego Bay United 5, Molynes United 0. And now onto our final game, as it was a pivotal Clarendon derby that was being held in Kingston as Chapelton Maroons was taken on Humber Lion. First, the lineup for the Maroons: Nathaniel Howe makes a return, Ajuma Johnson was out, but Cunningham kept his place after his wonder strike last week. As for the Lions, Sajay Anderson makes a return, so too Everall Swaby, and Afiba Chambers kept his spot after he too scored last week. So not surprisingly, Chapelton Maroons started the better as they got into a passing groove much quicker, and then when Ellis took his weak shot at goal, there is no way anyone would predict it would lead to a goal. Just look at this moment of madness from Glenroy Samuels. There's no way I can even explain what we are all seeing, but nonetheless, it was 1-0 to the Maroons. The Maroons kept up the pressure and would come again, this time down the left via Cohen, who worked hard to find Deacon, who worked his way into shooting and got an extremely lucky deflection that tricked Samuels and go into the back of the net. 2-0, and it was a dream start for the Maroons, but the stuff of nightmares for the Lions. They would, however, cut the lead by half moments later. The ball swung in from the corner, finding Swaby all alone at the back post, who nodded it to a also freed Stephen Barnett, who collected and shoot and beat Prince Daniel Smith from close range. 2-1, but it was poor defending to allow both men such freedom in the box. Chapelton through Deacon tried to restore their 2-goal advantage with yet another surging run and shot, but his effort was blocked well by Kevin Graham and went over the bar. That would be the final main action before the halftime break. Second half now, it was a decent start by the Lions as they attempted to get another goal quickly, and they should have achieved this in the 52nd minute. Some real poor defending from Shania Evans saw him being robbed of the ball by Chambers, who then went tumbling down into the box. A bit of a soft call, but the penalty stood and Stephen Barnett had the chance to restore parity. But his shot was too central and Prince Daniel Smith became the hero and saved it all. From there, Chapelton tried to take the air out of the game by holding onto possession a little more, but in the final 10 minutes, the Lions got desperate and had more of the ball in hopes of finding the equalizer. They failed though, and the Maroons would end this derby with all 3 points. So a strange game, but how was it in terms of stats? Well, the Maroons had more attempts with 10 compared to the Lions 6, and they also only managed to get one of those on target, but scored 2 goals, showing just how crazy football can be. They both had 3 corners apiece, while Humber Lion in the end had more possession, 57% in fact compared to the Maroons 43%. Alright, let's start with the Maroons. Massive win this was, as these type of games you have to win in hopes of escaping relegation. Deacon was excellent again, but Prince Daniel Smith and his defense deserve credit as well in preserving the lead. As for Humber Lion, as we say here in Jamaica, boy them salt. You won't get a goal like that one from Ellis scored against you too often, and when you combine that with Deacon's deflected shot and Barnett's penalty being saved, it's clear the Lions may be out of luck. Anyway, once again, it finishes Chapelton Maroons 2, Humber Lion 1. So yep, that's match week 30, excluding the 2 postponed games of course. It's an international week, but the JPL show continues this weekend. On Sunday, Vere takes on Dunbeholden in a must-win game. Portmore will host the Maroons, and the Lions will return home for a visit from Montego Bay. And by far, the biggest clash of the weekend will be at the Edward Siaga Complex as 6th place Tivoli Gardens will host 7th place Racing United. On Monday, we got a double header in Jewsland. Molynes United will take on Arnett Gardens, and Waterhouse will host struggling Harbour View in another must game for the home team. But anyway guys, that's all I got for this latest match week review show. Thank you all for watching, and please like, subscribe and share as we look to keep you all up to date on everything in the JPL leading up to the final in May. Otherwise, for great JPL content, you're already at the right place, Champion fan. YouTube, big up yourself.